What's up, guys? This right here is the Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus. It's one of Jackery's most popular power stations. This is where Jackery started getting into full home backup systems. And like the name suggests, 3600, this is in the 3600 watt battery capacity range. And so this can power a lot of different things. It's also expandable. It's got some really cool features. So I want to just give kind of a full breakdown of what this power station has, some of the features that it has. I'll run some tests so you can see it in use. And then I'll just give my overall thoughts and opinion at the end, in case you're thinking about getting it. So let's get in the video. So I want to just walk around the power station so you can see kind of all the different sides here. It's not crazy big, which is nice. It's pretty easy to take with you on the go. As you can see on the top, you have handles right here. What's really nice about this power station as well is you do have this that pulls up as well. And so you have wheels on the back right here that you can easily take this thing around with you. So it's for your house, home backup, but it's going to be pretty easy to take with you on the go as well, as you can pretty easily wheel it around. But going over here, one thing I like about Jackery power stations is most everything is on the front of it. And so all the things you need to power, plug things in is basically on the front. So you have this right here, you have your handles on the top, and then you have some of your inputs on the side and expansion ports on the side. But going over here on the front again, as you can see, we have 4 AC outlets with a continuous output of 3600 watts, which is a lot of power. You're going to be able to power a lot of different devices with this. Pretty much, all the devices in your house or multiple at the same time. And it can peak up to 7200 watts. So if you have something that needs a lot of power at the beginning, like an air conditioner and stuff like that, it's going to be able to have a lot of power to be able to kick on those devices. Or what's cool is if you get another 3600 plus power station, you can actually parallel them together and you can actually get 7200 watts of continuous if you put them together as well, which is something really unique that you don't see in a lot of power stations. A lot of power station companies, they'll have expansion battery packs, which this one does too. However, you can't actually put 2 units together in parallel, and this one you can actually put 2 of the 3600 pluses together to parallel them, and you can get, from the 3600 watts of continuous, you can actually get it up to 7200 watts of continuous, which just allows you to power so many more things, at the same time if you wanted to. Now, going along with the power up here, you also do have an RV plug, which is super nice. It is 120 volts. When you do connect another 3600 plus together in parallel, you can actually get split phase power, so you can get 240 volts as well. So that's another advantage of putting, 2 of the power stations together. However, if it's just by itself, it's 120 volts, but you can plug your RV directly into it, which is super nice. If you are camping or going off grid, to be able to just have that power, directly plug your RV directly into it and then be able to power your whole RV, which is a really cool feature as well. But then to actually use the outlets, you just want to turn the power station on. You just hold down the power button for like 3 seconds, and then you can actually click this AC button right here, and now all the outlets are active. You can plug things into it and you'll get power, which I'll show you guys here in a second. On the screen here, as you can see, it has 120 volts. If you were to parallel another unit, then you can get the 240 volts. And then going over here, we have our DC power. So you actually get 2 100-watt USB-Cs, which is super nice because, everything's going to USB-Cs now. And then you do get 2 18-watt USB-As as well. If you want to turn those on, you just click this button, the USB button, and then you'll be able to plug things into it to charge your phone and devices and things like that, which is super nice. But yeah, overall on the front, I really like how it has all these different outlets, so many different things to plug in here if you did want to run a bunch of devices. On the screen right here, as you can see, you do have your battery level percentage, and then you have your output and input, and everything will adjust. Once you plug something into it, it'll adjust. Right now, as you can see, it says 8 hours or so at 4% battery, but it'll adjust depending on what you actually plug into it. But going back over here on the side, we have our different expansion ports and inputs. On the top over here, we have our AC expansion port, and this allows you to expand the power station from the, basically 3600 watts or 3,584 watts of capacity all the way up to 21 kilowatts, which is pretty amazing that it has that. If you do want to take it from, almost 4 kilowatts all the way up to, full home backup, depending on your setup, you can expand it all the way up to 21 kilowatts, which is pretty amazing. And then down here is our DC expansion port, and this is where you're going to be able to actually parallel connect 2 units together. And if you do that, you can also expand the other power station up to 21 kilowatts as well, and you'll get a total of 43 kilowatts. And that's just something that I really like about this power station, is that you have the ability to, to connect 2 units together if you want, and to add battery packs depending on your needs and how much power you actually need for your house. But below the AC expansion port, we do have our overload protection right here, which is nice that it has that. And then we have our different charging ports. So right here we have our DC charging port where you can actually charge this up via solar panels. And through the solar, you're going to be able to get up to 1,000 watts of solar input, which honestly isn't amazing. It's going to take about 4 hours to charge with the solar panels, which isn't the best. I wish that they would have upped that a little bit more, but I think, that kind of ties into how small this power station is. Maybe if they were to make a higher solar input, the power station would be a lot bigger. I don't know, but But it is nice that you are able to charge it via solar panels. And I like that it does have 2 different solar ports because you can plug in 2 solar panels at the same time, which is super nice. And then below that is the AC input where you can get up to 1800 watts of input. That allows you to charge it in about 2.5 hours, which is super fast, honestly, for, a 3600 watt power station. And what's also nice is that you can actually charge the AC input and the solar input at the same time, and you can get up to 2500 watts of input, and then you can charge it in about 2 hours. And so if you want to charge it the fastest, you can do the solar and the AC input at the same time, and 2 hours is fairly fast in my opinion, especially for a power station this big. You're going to be able to get it up and running, be able to charge your devices, and you can also charge it and use it at the same time as well. It does have pass-through power, so you can still be using it as it's charging. But something else I really wanted to mention about this power station, which I really like as well, is just the size and weight of this thing. This thing only weighs about 77 pounds, which is pretty amazing for a 3600 watt power station. And compared to some of the other ones out on the market, like the EcoFlow Delta Pro, that weighs about 100 pounds, it's pretty amazing for how lightweight this thing is and how much power it can actually produce. All right, now I wanted to show you guys real quick. As you can see, we're only at 4% battery. But I want to show you guys what this thing can power, or just run some tests. Obviously this is kind of a smaller test. This only uses about 1,000 watts or 1,500 watts. But I'm going to turn this kettle on right here. And as you guys can see, we're running with the phone. The phone's charging. We have the DC power and the AC power on. And it has no problem running, 1,500 watts. And even at 4%, it's going to be able to run this for about, 10, 20 minutes. Even with all this power being outputted, and it's able to run it no problem at all. So really easy to use. You can also control this through the Jackery app as well. You can turn on, turn off the AC power. And there's also, the RV plug that you can plug into as well. But I just wanted to run some tests so you could see, what it can actually power. Technically it could run like 2 or 3 of these things at the same time, especially if it was at 100% battery. But it's very powerful, super nice for home backup. And because it's so portable, you can easily throw this in your car and take it with you on the go as well. And when you plug something in, the screen all adjusts and it'll show you, how long you'll have to actually power that device. And you'll be able to know when you'll need to charge the power station back up. All right, so I hope I kind of help you guys see some of the features and benefits of this power station. Honestly, I think this is the lightest, power station in the 3600 watt range. It's pretty amazing how light it is to be able to lift this up, with 2 hands really easily. I've tested out, I've used like the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3, and that one's like over 100 pounds. And so for this to be so light and small and compact it is, but have the power that it is pretty amazing. And I really like how it does have the wheels also. Overall, it's an awesome power station. I really like how it is expandable and to be able to power your whole house. If you guys are looking for a full home backup, but you also want to be able to take this with you, or if you have an RV and you want to use the RV plug, this is a great option in my opinion. I've loved using other Jackery power stations in the past. They're smaller versions, and I really like to see that they're into the full home backup systems now, just because it gives you a lot of versatility. And if you have those other portable ones, you can interchange, have this for your house, have the other ones, for on the go. And overall, just a great option in my opinion. If you guys are looking for a power station in the 3600 watt range, this is a great option in my opinion.